think it's kind of going to increase in diversity before it gets more unified. I think the two things have to exist, unity and diversity. They do have to exist, but I think, from my opinion, is that it's going to get more diverse before it gets more unified, which I think is kind of a natural outgrowth of the way institutions evolve.
So Prabhupada's principle wasn't so much then on, the way you looked or dressed, it was on the way you conduct
Well, he
yourself.
said in lectures that you don't have to shave your heads, you don't have to change your clothes, you don't have to change your religion, you don't have to do anything, but this is the philosophy. But the inner circle of Prabhupada's followers did shave their heads, they did change their clothes, and they did eat what he prescribed to eat. They offered all their food to, they offered all their food to Krishna. But nowadays, if a person doesn't change their look, they're still considered. They still. I mean, one of the questions that comes up is what is a member of the Hare Krishna movement, and unfortunately or fortunately, that's never been defined. I mean, in other religions, the Mormons for one do have a card. It's literally a card, like a credit card, that says I'm a member of the Mormon religion, and if you leave that religion, you have to sign a paper saying you're officially, what do they call it when you leave a religion? Excommunicated. That you're officially excommunicated. You have to write a letter. And I know this from devotees who were in that religion and then they became Hare Krishnas, and the Mormon elders that they were involved with had them sign a letter saying that they officially renounced or this religion and they were taking up the Hare Krishnas.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So what a member is just, I mean, to me, is a person who follows the philosophy of the Hare Krishnas and tries to follow the regular principles, even though they're not able to follow follow all of them strictly. At least they're trying. And they know there's some benefit in voluntary austerity, and they know that human life is meant for austerity and not for indulgence. That's the difficulty, that everyone is trying to be a master or an indulger. And Prabhupada was teaching that we have to become renouncers and servants.
Yeah, servant seems to be a little bit of a dirty word these days.
It is. In England, the people who work in the shop say, how may I serve you? Whereas in America, they say, how can I help you? Because they think servant in America is a dirty word.
And how did Prabhupada, put the emphasis, actually, that's the ultimate goal?
Well, Prabhupada quoted many scriptures that say that human life is meant for austerity. Tapo divyam putra yena sattvam is one of the many quotes that he used to say that this is what it's all about. If you're a human being, you have to engage in voluntary austerity. It's not about indulgence. It's about how much you can renounce. That's what human life is meant for. That's a very hard pill, bitter pill to swallow.
Yeah. What was your family and parents' reaction, if there was, to you joining the movement?
In general, my family thought that my joining the movement was a good thing. I did have some relatives who thought it was a bad thing. I thought I was a weirdo, but it was kind of a mixed reaction. But my closest relatives thought it was probably a good thing, and that I wasn't a mean person and that I was living a better life.
And if you could speak briefly, comment on Prabhupada's adventurous side of his character and this sense of adventure that you felt you shared with him, perhaps?
Going to England was kind of an adventure. I really didn't know what it was going to amount to. Prabhupada is known for saying that my one fallacy is that I can't think small. So Prabhupada was always trying to expand movements in ways that sometimes I thought were just fantasies, flights of fantasy. But some of them came true. Many of them came true.
How did the experience of India, going to India with Srila Prabhupada, impact on your life?
Well, I didn't go with Srila Prabhupada, but I met, when I went to India for the first time, I met Srila Prabhupada there. And I knew that the people that lived in that part of the world were different, very different. than I was. And I kind of had the feeling that this is the culture that Srila Prabhupada had brought to the United States, had brought to the West. That there was a culture of renunciation, a culture of voluntary austerity, something that was more or less unknown in the West. Of course, it's now infiltrated into India, so that all the people of India now think that the West is the greatest place in the world and that we have to indulge ourselves to the maximum to be happy.
What was your experience of seeing India for the first time?
My experience of living in India for the first time was that I never want to live there. I wasn't used to that kind of forced poverty. And I just thought that, I mean, being from the West and having everything, I just